Thanks very much for joining us today, especially on what is one of the hottest days of the year in the UK. It's about 30 degrees. So we're going to keep this session to around about 30 minutes or so. We've got a really good agenda for you. We're going to meet Jack Parker about his experience with learning people, and particularly all around the CompTIA A+ certification and some of the job opportunities that are available once you do get certified with the CompTIA A+. So it's great to meet students. That's what these sessions are all about, really, to understand their journey and to share those journeys with you. I'm Johnny Cox, head of marketing here at Learning People. You might have heard at the start that we're recording this session. So if you don't want to be recorded, please turn your video off now, and then we're going to share the session with you all. Hopefully by tomorrow morning we'll send the recording out. So we have over 35,000 students worldwide. I'm based in our Brighton office. We've got Robin, who we'll talk to in a short moment, who's over in Dublin, and then we have offices in Australia and New Zealand, and we're growing even further around the world, which has been an amazing journey. We're over 11 years old. It'll be 12 years in February. And I say, what do? We enable people to live better careers, earn more money, land dream jobs through digital education, and both compiling both your soft skills and your hard skills. So we only offer the world's leading certifications and accreditations, but most importantly, throughout your journey with us, we will get you job ready. So by the end of completing your training, you're ready to enter the job market as a professional. And that's what we're going to discuss with Jack. So I think I'll pass over to Kieran now. Kieran heads up our IT team to discuss more about the CompTIA A+ and the certs that we offer.
Thanks, Jono. Hi, everyone. So we're going to go through a quick presentation just on kind of what the A+ is and kind of what it covers, so you can get a good feel of kind of what we're doing. So can everyone see that presentation okay? Lovely. Okay. So first of all, the A+ is split into two parts. So you've got your hardware and then your software exams. So they're typically called the 22910 and the 22902. So the hardware kind of is to identify using connect hardware components and devices. And then it also goes through some networking, so different types of networks, including sort of some transmission control and internet protocols, Wi-Fi, and then difference between a small office and a home office. You've also then got mobile devices, so how you can install and configure laptops and other mobile devices such as touchscreens, etc. And then you've got your standard network hardware troubleshooting to troubleshoot device and network issues. So that exam is the one you'll start off with. Really simple. It's kind of like, even as simple as connecting a HDMI, what the different connectors look like for if you were as old as me and remember the green and purple connectors for your keyboard and mouse when you're back at school, called PS2 connectors. And then you move on to your software exam. So the software exam will essentially go through security, so identify and protect against different security vulnerabilities for devices and their network connections. You can also go through different Windows operating systems, installs, different support that you may need for Windows operating systems, kind of command lines and client support. And then you're also going to have a brief understanding of Mac, Linux, and some mobile operating systems as well. And then towards the back end of that, you'll go through different troubleshooting, so mobile device issues, application support, a bit of security, and then operational procedures as well. So best practice for safety and environmental impacts as well. So if we go over to the next one. So the CompTIA exams, both of them are 90 minutes long. You'll take them typically where you took the driving theory tests. If it was for me, it would be a very disappointing government building in my hometown. But they're 90 minutes, they've got 90 questions. There's 2 exams for the A+, because this really does give you your foundation of IT knowledge and allows you to go into the tech-based roles, which I'm going to come on to shortly. So the reason that you want to take the CompTIA A+ exams is because it's one of the most recognized certificates throughout the globe. If you have got this certificate, then you are able to go and be a first-line support engineer, second-line support engineer in a majority of countries. if you want to go and work in Australia, if you want to work abroad in the US, Canada, South America, anywhere in Europe, this is the exam that's going to launch your career. And when you're taking your further exams, such as, your networking, going into a bit more security or cybersecurity, then they're going to want to see that you've got this basic understanding and your fundamental knowledge. So what we've then done is, because at the Learning People, we want to focus on student outcomes, we have not only got mentor support, which is a live chat function, which allows you to then speak to someone who has completely passed all of these exams and give you some core knowledge on how to maybe prep for the exam, or maybe explain it in a slightly different way than the video. But we've also got a RAF and a CompTIA certified instructor called Gaz, who works in a security operations center for the RAF, who does live masterclass classrooms specifically around different modules on the A+. So this is an environment where you're able to then come in, listen to Gaz talk through the syllabus, and then ask questions at the end, almost like you're at school. And we've found the uptake in this and the pass rate from these to be exceptional, to the point where we're having to hire Gaz back and other CompTIA instructors to then run more of these courses and then expand it into the further syllabus as well. So that's all I've got on the presentation. Towards the end, I'm going to go through some information around the kind of roles that you can get and the salaries, so you can actually see what you can get for this exam, and I'll be going through one of the job boards to show you that. But for now, I'm going to pass over to Robin, who's going to talk about career services, one of my favourite parts of the Learning People.
Keep being muted. Am I back? Good. Thanks, Kieran.
There you go.
And so, yeah, as mentioned, I'm Robin. I'm a member of the Career Services team, and I'm based in the Dublin office. Before I joined Learning People, I have a background of technical recruitment in Dublin, and so I have a good kind of knowledge on, coaching you guys on how to become job ready, and that's one of the main key functions of career services. So we support students in helping you become job ready, navigating the job market, and navigating a career change if applicable. So we've designed a 3-phase process which we guide students through to facilitate that. Phase 1 is all about building your professional brand. So once you have passed your A+, whether you're doing just the A+, or the A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, pen test on to CEH, either way, once you have passed your A+, the 2 exams, the Core 1 and the Core 2, you're then in a really strong position to approach the market. The A+ is the minimum qualification needed for an IT role. So once you have that certification on board, you're then in a really good position to be able to effectively research the IT industry, understand how to present yourself in line with the market's expectations of your desired role, right? It's a bit of a mouthful, but that is exactly what you learn from phase 1. And it's the difference of being noticed and getting an interview, or the difference of continuously applying and getting no response. So we give you guides on how to research the industry, how to update your CV and update your LinkedIn in accordance to your desired role and the expectations the market has over it. You'll then have one-to-one consultation service with someone like myself, and we'll give you the feedback as to what you need to do to reach that polished standard. And once that's achieved, we'll then progress you to phase 2, which is all about networking. Now, networking is an incredibly effective method of job seeking, but it does tend to get somewhat neglected or overlooked or even just forgotten about without any real intention, because these online job boards exist. And as I mentioned, they're unfortunately not the most effective method. The reason why is that because these job boards, they only represent 30% of available opportunities in the labour market. So that tells us if you are just applying for jobs online, you are almost guaranteeing it to take you longer to find a job. So what we do with students at phase 2 is we help you to structure a targeted, clear plan on balancing your approach to the market. So ensuring that you're networking and approaching companies directly and finding that right balance and still utilizing the online job applications. This is what gives you that probability of achieving that positive result. You get a much stronger probability by balancing your efforts and not just focusing on 30% of the market. We help you access 100% of the market. Phase 3 then focuses mainly on interview preparation. So we'll help you prep for interviews, we'll help do mock interviews, interview debrief. We also discuss how to beat that applicant tracker system or AICV reviewer and how to build relationships with recruiters. In addition to the general 3-phase plan, you'd have a consultant like myself on hand for tailored and impartial support on anything that falls under the careers umbrella. And the support is available to you all the way up until you start your new role. You know, we'll be speaking with Jack shortly. I assisted Jack in becoming job ready and into the market. He's achieved incredible things. We have some other students who have done fantastically just off the A+ certification on their own. So for example, we have some students that went from, one student in particular who went from a background in hospitality and retail. After passing his A+, he joined Amazon doing IT support. And we have myriad of stories like this. And I believe Kieran's going to go into a bit more detail on some of the roles that you can avail of, but to know that you don't need to do a million courses to be able to move into IT. You get the first one, and that helps pave the way for the rest of your journey.
Thanks, Robin. Fantastic. Kieran, do you want to discuss job opportunities at the end after we've spoken to Jack?
Yes, I think I'm going to do it after I've answered the questions at the end.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Well, let's introduce everyone to Jack. It's great meeting students and hearing about their successes. Now, Jack's working for a company called ClearLogic as a first-line IT support engineer. Your CV's getting bigger and bigger with certifications. You've done your A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, Pen Test Plus, now working on your CEH. So congratulations for passing all those. Jack, you said that your first experience with the learning people was through a webinar as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. So actually, that was the first sort of webinar that I attended with you guys. But the first experience, I just learned about you guys through Googling, basically. But yeah, just specifically with you, Jono, I just remember initially having just enrolled, attending this sort of webinar about just over a year ago, and it was just quite surreal to see you again in a situation like this, because I then sort of thought about how much has changed and how far I've come in that sort of short period of time. So it was quite a surreal experience just then.
That's great that, in a really short amount of time, you were on the stage with the other side with how many have we got? About 90 people kind of viewing in to learn about and gain some more knowledge about certifications. And now you're sharing your success stories. So no, that's brilliant. And you're absolutely smashing your certs at the moment. So do you want to give us a bit of background about why you decided to make that transition into IT and where you came from?
Yeah, so first of all, I should probably say that I never knew what I wanted to do. I was always incredibly envious of people that, had that plan straight from the get-go, because, at least they've got something that they should be working towards. I started off, like at uni, I studied music. It was like music production for media. I just didn't know what I wanted to do when I was 18, and everyone was like, hey, you've got to go to university because the fees are changing and it's going to get way more expensive. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll do music because I played the guitar. And then obviously came out of that, sort of bumbled through a degree and then realized that it wasn't really where I wanted to go. Then I sort of worked in recruitment for a short while, for about 3 or 4 months, and that industry sort of chewed me up and spat me back out again. It was sort of 8 to 8, 12-hour days, wasn't necessarily the type of work that I wanted to do. Then after that, I got a job, another sales job, but in events this time. So I was selling essentially tickets to Christmas parties all through the year. So as you can imagine, that was a bit soul destroying at times, but they were a good company and good people. So I did it for quite a while before going traveling. And then when I got back from traveling, I sort of had to, you know, really ask myself the difficult questions of, you know, what do I really want to do? I think by the time I got back, I was sort of like 25, 26. This is a couple of years ago now. So I was really sort of thinking, you know, the next big move that I make has got to be my career for a while. And there needs to be that level of upscale in terms of pay and progression, as well as an actual challenge for myself individually. And, you know, how did I get onto IT? Well, you know, I'd always been sort of an avid PC gamer, I suppose. So I always, I think when I was 18, me and my friends, we sort of like all bought our own sort of PCs and built them ourselves. And that was kind of like a fun little project. And since then, I've always sort of tinkered and been interested in computers and technology. So I started to research sort of that line of things, basically, and then came across your guys' course, obviously onto cybersecurity and ethical hacking, and started to do a bit more research. I found out that it was a massive growth industry. You know, it's got a massive deficit of people that are qualified compared to the amount of jobs that there are in the market. And with that, you know, as well as you know, it sounds cool, and I did a bit of like, you know, YouTubing around and just seeing what the general day-to-day of people that work in the industry was like. And yeah, I just really sort of liked it from there. So I decided to sort of take the plunge with you guys. And yeah, it's been honestly an amazing thing for me. You know, from the main reason I probably chose you guys at the Learning People was because of the like you say, the student care and the career services. Because you know, anyone watching who's potentially researched about it has probably seen that, you know, there's a thousand million different courses and providers and that kind of thing online. So it can be a bit of a jungle, but definitely with the support that's offered here, it was a no-brainer for me.
You said you obviously did quite a few things, and I mean, how many people do in life, no matter how old they get, which and you know, especially going to university, doing a music degree, and then it sounds like you kind of didn't have stability for a period of time. Do you feel now that on this IT career path you are a bit more, it's a solid career focus, and you know, you feel a bit more confident in the direction of travel?
Yeah, well, I think more than anything, it's sort of really given me confidence in terms of commanding what my destination is with regards to my career. You know, at the moment, even though I'm working for a first line support engineer in an IT support role, I know that my destination, that my ultimate goal of where I want to be is, you know, I want to be a penetration tester, and because I've got the certifications behind me, it also gives me leverage when you approach things like interviews and you approach things like, you know, like appraisals and that kind of thing. I've got power to be, you know, like, look, I've done this certification, I'm, you know, qualified, and I know that I've put that work in. So in that way, it's given me a lot of confidence, and also long-term direction in terms of where I want to be. I always feel, even if I'm not working at it all the time, I know where I want to be in 5 years. So if I ever get answered that question for the first time in my life, I can actually answer it with and say it with my chest. You know, I'm not fumbling through and having to, you know, think of something on the spot.
Yeah, it's great to see that confidence as well. And so in terms of actually landing your job with where you are now, how did that come about? How far into your training were you? I know you work very closely with Robin as well. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. So initially I was I studied the A+ and the Network Plus before I started to seriously look. At the time when I was studying, obviously I came back from traveling. I'd got a part-time job for Tesco deliveries, so I was doing that in the evenings between like 6 and 11. I think it was only about 4 or 5 hours a day, and then the rest of my whole day was to study. And I thought, you know, during that time I may as well, and I think with everything with COVID and everything, I just thought that I may as well use this time when I can't necessarily do anything else to just knuckle down and study. So whereas a lot of people now, they might do the A+ and then start looking. I didn't start looking until a little bit later. I think I was maybe halfway through the Security Plus by the time I started looking. And even then, it was still my main goal was to continue learning and to then sort of look passively. So yeah, I had a couple of calls. The first things I actually did was just attend some seminars like this. You know, the career services guys, they do the workshops. So there was like CV writing, LinkedIn. You know, particularly the LinkedIn ones were just like amazing. I've always just seen LinkedIn as this sort of, you know, untamable beast that you just don't really know how to approach and what to do. How to approach people properly, and you know, how do you broker this sort of relationship with someone that you don't know, but then you also want a job off them, and it's all stuff like that no one really ever teaches you. CV writing as well, like, you know, some of the stuff that we learned in that workshop, I was just, my mind was blown. I didn't realize that, you know, recruiters have like a keyword search that they search for an individual role, and it goes through and scans all the CVs, and if you don't have any of those keywords, then you're never going to get a response. And it was stuff like that that just sort of, you know, really blew my mind, and was really valuable. And then I think, you know, by the time I'd actually I'd had a couple of meetings with Robin on the phone and decided that I wanted to start properly CV writing. I sent her some drafts. She gave me some great feedback. And then I think it was another workshop where I was just basically had been passively sort of firing off the occasional CV sort of once or twice a week, not really paying that much mind to it, and then had gotten an interview. And in the workshop, I sort of said, oh, and by the way, I've got an interview tomorrow. And Robin was like, why haven't you called me? But every time we spoke, you know, it was just, I always felt as if a massive weight had been lifted off my shoulders, because generally, especially going into a completely new market, industry that I've never been in before, you don't necessarily know how to negotiate that market, or how to engage in it and how to penetrate it in order to be able to actually market yourself as an individual who's got something to add over the sea of everyone else. And that's where, yeah, the meetings with the careers people, like the careers guys and Robin, really helped me. You know, they helped me really sort of pick apart what was good about me as an individual, and really help that show through CV, cover letters, and then also the way that I present myself in an interview and that kind of thing. So it was just like, you know, your hand is held the whole way, and I just really can't even begin to say how much of a great thing it was. Can't even do it justice with words, basically. Yeah. Without shilling you guys too much.
Good job. Not at all. Robin, was Jack like a star student? Did he stand out as a star candidate? What landed Jack that job?
What landed Jack that job, I think, was he was very determined. You were always very enthusiastic, and I think because of that, because you were trying to build your confidence constantly, one of the great things that I found really good with dealing with Jack was that he really needed to know everything that I could tell him, right? Every little thing that could possibly help him, he needed to know it, and he needed to apply it straight away. Like it was just, you can tell even by how you're delivering it, but you just really appreciated the support and advice, and you took it as gospel and you applied it, and that's exactly what works. Trying to reinvent the process yourself, you know, you took everything absolutely on board. I would constantly tell him, like, Jack would he would kind of talk himself down, or maybe, you know, like maybe speak slightly negative about himself, and I just wouldn't let him. You know, you're just not allowed to do that. And he caught on to that, about that kind of positive mindset and that positive kind of self-talk and believing that you can do it, and then that will shine through. So never any complaints, Jack, except for, like, I still think about that and laugh. In the workshop, it was an interview workshop, and he says, oh, I have an interview tomorrow.
Yeah, I realize now how silly it was.
That was the interview as well. That was the interview of your current role.
Yeah, of my current job. Yeah.
Found some time really quickly to get through it and help you get over the line, and you did it.
Jack, we'll jump on to some questions which the guys on the session today have asked. Do you want to just give us a snapshot of what your role consists of in IT support? And you mentioned you're doing your CEH, you want to move into ethical hacking.
Yeah.
So when do you think you'll make that transition? What's some of the daily tasks that you do in your job?
Yeah, so the day-to-day at the moment is sort of your general first line stuff. So that can be anything from I've forgotten my password, all the way to hang on, I think someone's trying to get in the meeting. Sorry, just bear with me. 5 minutes. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys.
No problem.
Where was I? Yeah, so it's anything.
So we're talking about
I need my anything from where I need my password changed, all the way to internet's down, networking help. We use a lot of Active Directory as well, which is how all of the users are managed across the whole organization. And the current office I work in at the moment is across 7 different countries across the world. So the problems are sort of far-reaching and all over the place. But I'm obviously first line, so anything that I can't deal with straight away, I can then escalate to third line guys as well. So yeah.
Are you in a meeting room at work at the moment?
I am at the moment. I don't know why the phone's ringing, but it is. Let me just...
And are you going to be kicked out?
I hope not, but we'll see. Some guy just knocked in, but I can probably get away with about 5 more minutes. I don't know if you guys can hear that.
You're just in demand. Right. That's the problem, isn't it? Let's ask answer some questions then, which the guys have sent in. Ian says, what advice do you have for people looking at a career change to cybersecurity? I don't know who wants to answer, Jack or Kieran or Robin.
I think for me, John, it's a question that we get asked quite a lot. In terms of people who want advice for a career change into cybersecurity, now is the time. You've got, as an industry that's got a 0% unemployment rate, starting salaries of between 30 and 40,000, and an average salary of 77,000 across the industry. We've got all of the ways for you, like Jack was saying, to start from your A+, work your way up through your networking, your security, and then go through, if you want to go to ethical hacking like he's doing, penetration testing or cybersecurity analyst work. Whichever way, it all starts with a conversation, whether you're looking for salary, job security, or work-life balance. Cybersecurity is the best industry for all of those, as far as I'm concerned.
Jack, just before you have to shoot off, and if you do, we'll just crack on, because Kieran can talk about some.
Yeah, no, go on.
What advice would you give? What advice would you give to anyone else?
Yeah, sorry, everyone seems to be trying to get in this meeting room. No one ever uses it, and now suddenly that I'm in it, everyone's trying to get in there. But yeah, so the advice I would give is, probably, you need to ask yourself the question of, are you fundamentally interested in computers and technology? Because essentially, that's going to be the biggest thing that pushes you through the course. At the end of the day, there's going to be parts of the course that you're going to love and you're going to find really interesting, and then there's going to be other parts where you just you don't understand something, and it takes you a long time to get through it, or you're maybe doing core 1 of the A+, and you've done your 6th module on printers, and you're just feeling like, god, like this is so it's basically that fundamental, do I really like this? Is it something that I'm interested in that carries you through those moments? Yeah, I think that's really important. But also, there's a few other things like, set small and achievable goals in terms of like studying. One of my biggest problems when I first started was essentially that, I was trying to do too much too soon. I was trying to smash out like 4 to 6 hours a day of studies, which, and quite often I left myself feeling completely bummed out and deflated because I hadn't got there. And then obviously, again, having spoken to some of the guys in like student care and stuff, they said, sort of break it down into more achievable chunks, give yourself small goals. One of the best conversations I had was where they just basically said, like, what is the absolute bare minimum that you would be happy with doing each day? And I said, probably just, at the time I had loads of time. So an hour, 2 hours a day was, my absolute bare minimum. And they said, well, on those days where you're not feeling like doing that, as long as you get that hour or 2 hours done, then that's the best thing that you can do. And you don't have to beat yourself up too much about it in order to get there. So yeah, that's like another thing as well. And then probably the last thing was, be just very comfortable with the idea of not knowing the answer, or understanding something straight away. One of the main things that I've always found is that, generally, if there's something that I just can't get my head around in that moment, it's just to leave it, move on to the next thing. And then quite often when I come back to it, I've understood it a little bit better. Sometimes I've even, got onto like my third certification, and I've been brushing up on something where it's getting developed on that I'd learned about in a previous certification, and I've like suddenly understood it, and I've had that light bulb moment where I didn't understand it before. And I think, being able to move on from those things, and also a little bit of just trying to figure it out yourself. You need to be able to have that capacity to not know something and be unsure, and be comfortable with that in order to get to where you do know something slightly better. Because actually, at the end of the day, in this industry, no one knows everything anyway. Generally, if like even at my job at the moment, if I don't know something, I try and figure it out. I'll Google it. I'll look into it. I'll read up about it. And generally it helps, or there's someone else that can give me the answer or help me get there. So just be happy to be in the unknown, revel in it, enjoy that feeling, and generally that's where the process of learning really facilitates itself, and you end up actually getting somewhere and getting that feeling of accomplishment as well from learning.
It's a really inspiring story, Jack, and I know we're going to keep in touch. Well, hopefully we can throughout your journey as you complete more certifications. If you have got to jump off, then thanks for your time so much. Massive.
I'm all right for a couple of minutes. I think I don't know why I think someone was planning on using this room for 5 minutes, but it's all right. They can wait. I'm all right for another couple of minutes if you need me here.
Well, let's discuss with Kieran then, because you want to talk about some of the other job opportunities and job placements for students, don't you?
Yeah, so what I've done is I've gone on to one of the job boards and I've just typed in Jack's role, so you can kind of see the different salaries that are available. Most of the time when we talk about things on the phone with different students, they wonder if this is even real, and that's why it's great to get Jack on, because when we talk about it and we talk about this job progression and where you can go, it just sounds like it's kind of too good to be true. So Jack, I know you're in London at the moment, so IT support analyst, second line, 30 to 37,000. First line, 23.
Yeah, I'm a first line, so the second line would be probably a year's experience on top of what I do. So
So there you got another one there, 350 to 400 pounds a day for a first to third line support. AV support again, first line 25 to 30. So it really does range kind of depending on where you are, but it's great for the people who are watching us to kind of see the salaries that are available. So that's what I really want to go through, John, just give them a little bit of visualization. And for everyone who is watching, I would definitely recommend you go have a look in your area, what kind of jobs are available, what kind of salaries are available. But also, one of the people that are on my team, her partner is currently working in the first line support, and 4 days a week he works from home. So it doesn't stop you from applying outside of your catchment area to different roles and different jobs, because some companies will let you be at home for 50%, 80%, sometimes even 100%. It's just dependent on who you can apply for and who's willing to take you on. So I'm sure Robin would agree with me. It's always best to apply. The worst they can say is no.
That's it. Particularly like people get too sort of hung up about these job board applications, like you're mentioning. It's a chance, either you might get a response, either you don't, right? If you don't put in it, you can't get it back. But it's not to take it personal if you don't get a response, because like that, it's only showing a small portion of the market, right? So Kieran was able to find, I was at 6 or 7 first, second line IT support roles with really good salaries, and that's only the tip of the iceberg. So that will just tell you how much of a need and demand that there is in the market for it. And exactly, don't be limited to location, because you're moving into a world of technology, right? And that has been, even pre-pandemic, very remote and very flexible. So now they're continuing that way in the future. So the opportunities have very little limit.
Sorry, Johnny, there was one question I really wanted to cover before we finished, which was someone asked if they didn't have a degree, was that going to be detrimental to them? And that's something that actually comes up really often. And the difference that you kind of find between a academic qualification and what Jack is on, a professional qualification, is that the professional qualifications are written for the roles that we're trying to get you guys interviewed for and get you guys placed in. So these are job ready certificates, versus when you think about a university degree, it can be anywhere between kind of 3 to 4 years. It's then got to be written, which can take between 1 or 2 years. It can, go for a year's worth of kind of testing and making sure that the content is suitable. Where you've done, let's say, 1 year of writing, 1 year of testing, and then we'll say 3 years of going through the course as a student. Well, once you finish it, it's 5 years since it was first written. Well, how many iPhones have come out in the last 5 years? How much has technology moved on in the last 5 years? A lot of what you're going to have learned is obsolete or needs refreshing. Whereas with professional certificates, they're updated very regularly, between 12, 18, 24 months. So you're always current, which makes you so much more desirable as a candidate. Sorry, John, I know you can ask something else there.
No, I don't mean that's really interesting. I was going to ask Jack, where are you based? Just looking at those salaries, and did you have to travel far for your current role?
So I'm currently based in central London in Bank. I work for an FX trading company, but I work for, they contract out their IT services to the company that I actually work for, which is ClearLogic. Now, did you say where do I track in terms of those salaries, or?
No, I wasn't asking for your salary. It was just in terms of where the most demand are. And did you have to travel far for your job?
No, so I wanted to look for jobs in central London anyway. So when I was applying, I was just sort of firing off my CV occasionally to the jobs that looked right for me. I literally just get on a train straight into London Bridge every day, and then it's a 10-minute walk from there. So it takes me about 45 minutes door to door. But I always wanted to look in London for my role, and there was, there's loads of stuff there. I mean, as I say, it was a bit weird for me really, because I was sort of passively looking for my role. So I wasn't really paying too much attention, occasionally just putting in. I just slowly over time started getting back a little bit of interest. Obviously, that's if you obviously work with the career services, they'll develop your CV to the point where it's getting picked up by people. And because I wasn't necessarily in any rush, it just sort of started trickling in, and people were asking me for interviews every now and then. And I think I went to a couple of different ones all the time, and then eventually got one. So, and I think as well, for those people that obviously, just going on a bit further from what Kieran said as well, for those people that are a bit unsure, have never worked in the industry before, or don't have a degree, I think one of the best things that you can show is that if you are actually studying towards several different certifications as you do. So one of the things that actually came up in my interview as to why they liked me as over potentially some like the regular candidate that they would get in was that that I was studying towards other things as well. So it really showed that rather than just coming in necessarily with just the one cert that you're working towards something else as well, and it shows that you've got drive, and you can really leverage that to your own advantage in an interview, and basically just say, I'm working towards this, and I'm really committed to getting into this industry as a result. So,
Yeah, That's a great answer, you know, and I think Kieran can back up here, but we rarely offer or enroll students onto kind of single certs. We do, obviously, but what we try and do, being partnered with the biggest accreditors in the world, is we can bundle those certifications together, aligned to a career pathway. So you know, once you enroll with this, you're on usually a 12-month license period, studying all those different things, which would make you a more attractive candidate. Is that right, Kieran?
Yeah, that's exactly right, John. 80% of all of the students that enroll will either take a 4-course or a 3-course pathway, and it's very similar to what Jack's on now. The most popular one to take is the 4-course pathway because it gives you that career trajectory and the salaries that people want and the job security.
Just finally then, just to wrap this up, Isaac's question is, what makes your learning program different from other providers? I think we've touched on this in terms of career services, you know, job support. I think the one-to-one tutor access, live classrooms makes us different as well. And even kind of Precipio, the access on the training platform is you know, second to none as well. What would you say, Kieran?
Well, I'd say that first of all, Precipio being built by Skillsoft, the company, is usually exclusively reserved for business to business. So the companies that they will then give access to Precipio to are like Amazon, IBM, Visa, even NASA over in America. Really, really big companies, really reputable companies. We are the only provider in Europe that's allowed to give this over to consumers like yourselves, people who are watching this. So you really do have access to the best platform that only big businesses are going to use to train their staff. The thing that I find I always get the best feedback, especially from returning staff, are the practice labs. So this is what gives you actual experience on your CV that you can then download and reference when you speak to interviewees and when you're trying to go for new roles, as actual experience in different situations, whether it be networking, security, prevention, etc. So I think that's why it would be the best platform, that it differs from the other competitors that you might see out there.
Cool. I think that's it. So it's a 45-minute session. I've overrun. Jack, it's been really, really lovely having this conversation with you, understanding your journey. And hopefully we can. Yeah, hopefully we can talk again, you know, 6 months when you're that much further down the line and throughout your career. And then, yeah, if anyone, obviously, some of you will be speaking to us already. If not, then, well, you will have been because we've sent you an email. Kieran, do you want to add anything in terms of people who want to get in touch with us?
I think if any one of you want to get in touch, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or on my email. Which is kieran.thurston@learningpeople.co.uk. You can find me on LinkedIn, just Kieran Thurston. You can see my name at the bottom corner of my picture, or just go straight onto our website. I know I can already recognise a few of the names on here that are speaking to our consultants, so I'm sure we'll catch up with you after this. But leave your details. As I said earlier, it all starts with the conversation. That's what it is, and from there, you never know, your life could completely change within the next 12 to 18 months.
Perfect. Jack, thank you so much for joining us. Robin, thank you as always. And Kieran as well. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining us as well on this sunny day. We'll send the recording out hopefully tomorrow morning to you, and we'll speak to you all soon. Have a great rest of the day, everyone.
Pleasure, guys. See you later.
Thanks, guys.